Let's move on to the next topic. Let's do this. So red light cameras. This is making a comeback in Minnesota. Let's pull a story up at truthhurtsnews.com. By the way, ran some Twitter ads on this, and it's very interesting. A lot of people seem to be hot on this topic.
I'd imagine it's pretty bipartisan among the grassroots. I'd imagine that, regardless of your political affiliations, you don't like to have more government, more spying on you, and so I can see it being popular.
Yeah. Minnesota Democrats are trying, and this is, by the way, on truthhurtsnews.com. Minnesota Democrats are trying to pass a bill that would legalize the use of more government surveillance equipment, in this case, red light traffic cameras. If caught on these cameras, violators would be fined at least $40 despite not being able to face their accuser of a crime. By the way, this was found unconstitutional. Oh, I wrote about this. This was in 2007. The ACLU sued the city of Minneapolis for this program on this issue, the fact that you can't face your accuser. It's invading your privacy rights. The bill, SF 2026, authored by State Senator Zainab Mohammed, is making progress in the Democrat-controlled Minnesota Senate. So far, the bill has been passed out of the Judiciary and Transportation Committees. If passed, it would legalize the use of red light traffic cameras for local governments and would establish a pilot program to commence by summer of 2025. So they're going to start with a couple cities. Once again, a surveillance state. Now, Dawson, you tend to be more left-leaning, I guess, so to speak, when it comes to a lot of issues, at least on climate change, which is a made-up disaster by the left-wing radicals. But anyhow, what are your thoughts on this issue?
I think that, I guess I don't really care if I'm getting surveilled more. I was talking with Dale about this the other day too, like the Real ID. I have one of those, and it's like, well, why would you get that? That way they can recognize your face and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not doing anything illegal, so who cares if I'm being surveilled? I've got kind of a boring take on that kind of stuff.
So just because you're not doing anything wrong, you don't mind your privacy being invaded?
Well, if I'm out on a road, I don't think that there's any privacy that can be invaded, is there?
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the argument? And by the way, I'm just generally for less cameras by the government at all, but
yeah.
Fair enough in the fact that there's a lot of cameras, even in the private sector, that are being used. What do you think about the argument that you have a right to face your accuser? And if there's a camera, who's your accuser? Because, you could have a traffic stop and you can ask for the police officer that made the citation to show up in court.
Yeah.
It's generally not going to go your way, but you have that right.
Mm-hmm. And you can argue that, can I see your radar gun? Can I see that you actually documented me going that speed? There's all kinds of things like that. And I'm interested in this Zainab Mohammed. She's the senator you said that's behind it. I know it's her first term in there. It's a little bit curious why she would be behind the bill. I'm not indicating.
It's not actually curious. She even cites why.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so remember, I almost said George Floyd. John Thompson.
Yep.
Remember his son ran a red light and killed
those 4 Muslim girls?
5.
Right.
Was it 5 Muslim women?
Okay, sure.
4 or 5. Now I'm forgetting the name. Tragic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like teenagers and young 20-year-olds. So that's what she cited in this bill. By the way, I don't.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
though.
it doesn't make any impact.
Right.
Here, right.
It's not because it's not like the guy was it wasn't because of the red light. He was fleeing from the cops.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So he was running that red light whether this law exists
Correct.
or not.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a shitty thing, but
right.
Don't attribute
the camera wouldn't have saved those girls' lives.
Yeah, don't attribute intelligence to this Democrat, sponsoring this bill, but that's what she said, and you get that the sympathy because that was a tragic event, but it won't do anything different. So what do you think? So by the way, Tucker says not doing anything illegal yet. Love it. I thought Arizona made it illegal. That's what Razzle Dazzle is saying, but it is definitely legal in other states. Billy 22, Dawson, the government would never falsely accuse you of anything. I mean, it's not like they ever plant evidence, like lie to judges or coerce witnesses. So yeah, keep thinking you're good. I mean, granted, you're probably low on the list of targets by the government, right?
I mean,
but you and I both know, and we ran through the story together, the guy creates a funny meme about voting for or texting your vote in for Hillary, and the guy is getting sentenced to prison.
I mean, so I guess what Billy's saying, I could have evidence planted on me, I guess, but like what does that have to do with the surveillance camera? When the surveillance camera pick up them planting the evidence?
But I guess, maybe there could be problems where, let's say, it misreads a license plate or something. I could imagine all kinds of things, especially if you're driving. It could misread something. It could falsely accuse people of crimes.
That'll definitely cause a headache, but I'm sure that kind of thing
usually the rule, not always for police officers, but usually a general rule of thumb is they're supposed to witness something before they're supposed to intervene unless they're called to it, unless they have attention brought to it by a member of the public. So usually, which this would be some sort of traffic infraction, the police are not supposed to say, hey, I heard you were speeding back there. No, the police are supposed to say, I witnessed you speeding, I caught it on my gun. So I do see a major problem with these cameras here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the people who are going to be speeding anyways will speed anyways. I don't think they'll care that these cameras are up. But if
they will when the tickets come in.
If this deters, I don't know, some idiot teens from speeding just randomly, then that's fine, I guess. Again, I always drive.
It just depends.
Exactly
some speed limits are pretty arbitrary. There's some times where you're driving into town and then it goes 30, 35, 30, and you got to make sure that you're keeping up with whatever the sign says. So there's all kinds of speed traps and everything. I think that, of course, these cameras. It's not like the government is going to not utilize speed traps for their benefit. Of course, they're going to. I think that this is just a new tactic, and that's why it's surprising for me to hear that this Muslim new senator is the one that's behind it, because it sounds like this is only going to be beneficial for the police. The police are going to be the ones who are raking in the money for this one. So that's why I say it's curious that it doesn't seem that it would be beneficial for her or her community's interest. But if the explanation is because of that one incident, then she's probably got her mind made up emotionally.
Tickets would start at $40 on these, and then I'm sure they go up, and certainly multiple infractions would do it. Let's go to Susie's comment here.